Rockford's home for classic rocks, 96.7 The Eagle. Good morning, it's Double T, and joining me, my old friend Gary Hoey. Gary, how you doing this morning?
Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good. Very exciting time for you. New music from Gary Hoey now available.
Yes. Yeah, the new album is out, and we're very excited. Neon Highway Blues is done.
So how long did you invest in that album to the point where it's out in stores now?
Well, it seemed like it was probably about a year and a half, from the time that we started it and tracking drums and getting everything done. And, not working constantly, obviously, because we were touring and doing stuff off and on. But, it took like a year and a half to get it completely done and out. And, I wanted it to go quicker, but sometimes it just doesn't. You go to the studio and you're like, okay, I'm going to write a great lyric today. And then you're like, nothing's coming out, and you just got to keep trying.
When you take a little time off in the process and, maybe do a little touring and stuff, is that a good thing? Does that kind of help recharge the brain, the creative process?
Absolutely. I mean, my theory is that you have to kind of finish it. You got to get out and live life a little bit and experience life and things that, are happening. And then you can kind of write about it, put it into experience in your music. And I find that that's really important to me because sometimes I finish an album and a tour and everybody wants us to just run in and make another record right away. And unless the songs are there, you got to kind of go live life and then come back and kind of take those experiences and put them into, and I think it helps to get away and bring it back.
I'm talking to Gary Hoey. His new album, Neon Highway Blues, is out now. Gary, when you're going to write a blues song, where do you start? With the story? Because a lot of blues songs are a story. Or do you start with the lyrics or with the music?
Well, for me, I mean, I know it's different for everybody. For me, sometimes once in a while a song kind of comes out, the whole thing, the lyrics and the music kind of hits you right away. You go with the flow. Those are rare for me. What I typically do is I write the music first. I write a lot of music, and then later on I try to find the lyric that's going to fit with the music. And what I typically do is, like the song "Mercy of Love" from the new record. It's kind of like a slow blues, So it's got that kind of like real down and dirty kind of slow blues. I had that music done, and then I had other titles that I collect during the year when I'm listening to people or I'm talking about my life and whatever happens. I start writing down song titles. And I'm a title freak. Like, I look for song titles, like the song that Lance Lopez played on called Damned If I Do, Like, how many times has someone said, damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't, right?
Right.
And so he played on that song, and I had this music, and it was like, it was like... And you listen to that music, and it sounds like "Damned If I Do," and then you listen to this song, and that sounds like the song "Mercy of Love," because I had this song title written down called "Mercy of Love," and because I think about life, you could be at the mercy of the court, you could be at the mercy of, the weather, whatever it is, and sometimes you're at the mercy of love if somebody is controlling you in that way, and so. It's amazing how many times when I look at my titles and then I listen to the music I'm creating, I'm like, you know what? I think that's going to fit.
It's amazing how that works out, isn't it?
It is. No, it truly is. And there's another song on the album called "Living the High Life," which, I love making blues records, but I don't want to make the whole album just, okay, let's, I want it to be something more. So I love the Zeppelin riffs where they'll go like... So I had a riff that I loved and it was going like... And then I was looking at my song titles, and I had this song title called "Living the High Life." And I looked at the music and the title, and I said, that fits, "Living the High Life." So that's my process.
You talk about you don't want it to be just that, sort of blues thing. And it seems like nowadays, an artist like you and other ones out there, you can do a blues sort of album, but you're allowed to expand into other areas.
Yes, absolutely. The palette's pretty wide open nowadays, because I think with blues and blues rock, unless you're going for totally traditional blues, there's a pretty wide palette out there because of bands like Led Zeppelin and all the blues rock that kind of came into the music scene. And I think the blues fans, that kind of audience, is the same fans that like rock and roll, but it's almost like a group of people that they're ready to listen. When I play these blues festivals, like you could do a 6-minute blues and they're loving it. They're just like, okay. Whereas, I know people that like 3 minutes in, they're like, hey, can we go, we're going to go get something to eat now, It's like the drum solos, the time, when I hear the drum solo, that's when I usually head to the bathroom. You know what I mean?
I'm talking to
blickum, 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 blickum. It's time to get the check,
I'm talking to Gary Hoey. His new album, Neon Highway Blues, is out now. Now, you got some special guests on this album, and I think one of them is extra special to you, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, man. This album was the first debut of my son, Ian Hoey. He was a guest on this new record, and he's just awesome. He started playing when he was 5 years old. I handed him a little mini Stratocaster when he was 5, and I said, okay, Ian, I'm going to teach you this really hard song on the guitar, and it goes like this. It was Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And,
wow.
I come back an hour later, and he's going... I'm like, okay, I think he's going to be a guitar player. And so I started teaching him, like, little things, like going, like... That's how you get kids into guitar. You don't teach them like a B7 chord where their hands are crippled for 9 days.
Right.
You gotta teach a kid like right away. Make it feel like music. Just teach them one string, even like one string. Smoke on the Water. You know what I mean? Just play it and teach them stuff that they can play and feel like they're making some music. And I did that with him, and then he kept getting better as the time went on. And now being a teenager, I brought him in the studio and I kind of had him play with me, and I tricked him a little bit. I said, I have this song called Don't Come Crying to Me. It's not about your allowance. And I started playing this riff. I'm like... And he grabbed the guitar and he went... And I said, okay, here we go. And then I hit record, and he didn't even know I was recording. And I ended up, when we were done, at the end, we're trading back and forth. And when I hear it back, I'm like, which one is he? Which one is me? So he's really taken to music, and it's really fun for me.
Oh, see, that's awesome. Now, let me ask you, in a crossroads-type square-off, Steve Vai versus Ralph Macchio, who's winning in the rock-off?
Well, you know what? I got to be honest with you, for a 17-year-old kid, he's already... 5 times better than I was at 17, because, the generation now, they're learning much quicker because they have YouTube and they have, all these channels. They can go get tutorials with, 3 camera angles. Me and you, bro, we were scratching vinyl records, to try to learn Black Sabbath, and so Ian has that, and he has this guy named Gary Hoey teaching him, which doesn't hurt because I'm his dad, so I'm, I think I've helped him a little bit, but I give him a lot of credit. He's going to be way better than me, man. The rate he's going right now, I got to tell you, he's going to surpass me, I think. And he's taken to a lot of my music. He's been learning my old catalog, and he looks like, he wants to go out someday and play my music, and I think that's really cool. Any
chance of him coming out and doing some shows with you?
Yeah, I've had him up at some of the local shows. He's been playing with me on stage and having a blast. He's still in high school, and he's also a football player. He's a quarterback on the high school football team. So any parent out there that has kids in football, it's a big commitment when they're in football. So we're waiting till he gets done school, and he is going to college and stuff. But, when he's off in the summer, I'm going to take him out on the road and bring him out to some of the shows and let him have fun.
That's so awesome. I'm talking to Gary Hoey. His new album, Neon Highway Blues, is out now. And you talked about teaching him, and I know you've done some of the rock and roll camp sort of stuff with the fans. Do you enjoy teaching music to people?
I do. I absolutely do. I love mentoring people and listening to them grow. And, the rock camps are like 48 hours to get somebody, ready to hit the stage. It's like, guerrilla warfare. But I really enjoy it. I enjoy helping people and young musicians or older musicians, teach them maybe one thing that opens up a door or a window to, experience and what they want. Like, I was just working with a guitar player at rock camp, and he was playing rhythm behind me the whole week. He's standing back, and he's like, I said, you want to play lead, don't you? He goes, oh, kinda. So I showed him how to play this one riff. I said, you got to do this, dude. You got to go. And he tried to push the note up with one finger, and he couldn't push it up. And I said, dude, you got to put a second finger on that string. You can't bend with one finger. I said, it's like a policeman. He needs backup. If you don't put some backup on it, how's he going to get the guy? So I go, I put that finger on it. And all of a sudden, just showing him how to bend a note and play one lick, it opened his doors. And then 3 days later, I go in the room, and he's like, and he's all of a sudden playing lead. And he goes home. He's like, thank you, Gary, just to push me over the edge to play lead, because I knew he wanted to.
Oh, see, that's really cool. It's got to be such an experience for someone like that to learn from a guitar player like you.
Well, it is, because they, the last camp we just did, I was in Nashville. I was with the guys from Journey. I was with Jonathan Cain, Steve Smith from Journey. It was so amazing to play those songs, like... all those songs, and we had the guys from Tesla there, Frank Hannon, and what's great about it is when we work with these musicians, they're excited to work with us, but it brings us back to when we were kids playing in a garage and why we picked up the guitar and, going back and playing these songs. I was playing with Derek St. Holmes, who works with Ted Nugent,
Oh, yeah.
And Derek St. Holmes comes in as a counselor. He's teaching people. He's the nicest guy in the world. And then he picks up the guitar and he's like... he's doing like Stranglehold. And we're all freaking out, because he's the voice of Stranglehold. And then we're doing that old song, all right now. And I'm just going, man, this is like bringing me back to when I was like 17. Back in days.
That's awesome. Well, Gary, thank you so much for taking the time. The new album, Neon Highway Blues, is out now. And I know you're hitting the road. No Midwest dates just yet, but I'm sure at some point you'll be coming through our area.
Yes, we are. Matter of fact, we booked a gig. I know we have a gig at Evanston Rocks in July. We're doing a gig there. And I know we have a few other things that we're just about ready to lock in. So, people can keep an eye on GaryHoey.com. We'll keep them up to date.
Thank you so much for taking the time, Gary. Always great talking to you.
You too. Thanks so much, my brother.
Rockford Soul for Classic Rocks, 96.7, The Eagle.